With this energy of permission, it feels like somebody is waiting for you to release someone or something so that there is clear and easy access for them to enter your life in a more obvious or substantial way than they have so far. This could be a situation where there could have been third parties involved, and this is somebody that is giving you like a period of time to kind of mourn the release or discontinuation of a connection. This could also be something on their side of the equation that could have to do with, third party in terms of another person. This could be third party in terms of like a version of themselves that they have shed, that they have released. This could have to do with like career change, different sorts of like rites of passage in their life where they are trying to settle into some kind of like new normal or allow themselves to kind of come back home to their own energy, to release the past, or become very comfortable with the version of themselves that they've been working very hard to become, or they're in the process of becoming at this point in time, so that they can have truly like a new beginning with you. This doesn't feel like anybody that you would be reconciling with, so this isn't like past person who is returning and trying to come back in, but it's almost sort of like a new beginning in terms of like a new stage of life, a new type of experience in romance. That again, there's either, factors or energies on their side of the equation, on your side of the equation, maybe on both, that this person is aware of, actually, or even just energetically. This could just be something like in your vibe, in your energy, that this person like perceives, or something within their own energy that they're aware of is kind of like, yeah, I just came out of a tough cycle, I'm stepping away from something, or I've kind of created a fresh start or like a next step up in my life towards something, goals, dreams, living one's best life or most favorable reality in the here and now. And this is somebody that wants to make sure that they kind of get their momentum going, that they don't sort of, add more on to what might be a very full plate at this particular point in time, in terms of like, learning the ins and outs of certain things, adjusting to like a new normal for themselves, or something that they sense or recognize or see very obviously on your side of the equation is kind of like a period of time where you are shutting the door to something and stepping through a new doorway of opportunity for yourself. You're wrapping up a cycle and starting something fresh, beginning again, taking a bold step forward in a new direction. It could be that this is happening for the two of you at the same time. So again, this is somebody that it feels like has a lot of interest in approaching, in pursuing you and getting to know you better, but they recognize that there's almost kind of this need to sort of call all their power back to themselves first, or to give you the opportunity to do that. Maybe you have each kind of called your power back to yourselves in different ways, and there's a sense of kind of just acclimating to that experience before taking that sort of bold leap of faith forward, that energy of the fool, kind of like starting a fresh cycle with one another, because this is somebody that doesn't want to bring like baggage from the past behind. They don't want to intrude on a process that you're going through. If this is something where they're having to kind of like tie up loose ends or close out of something, where they've just sort of created sort of a fresh chapter or like a next stage for themselves in some sort of way, there's almost the sense of kind of like, I don't want to sort of inflict this adjustment period upon what they sense would be almost, like a lot of potential between the two of you to have something very satisfying, very beautiful with one another. This may be somebody that has a hard time with change, or what it is that, they're kind of like moving beyond, or what they recognize actually, or just kind of like sense as in terms of like a vibe or an energy that you're putting off within you, that you are kind of stepping forth towards or moving away from. There's a sense of kind of like honoring those energies of release or completion in order to be able to make the most of what would be kind of like a next step forward in life in general, that also in some sort of way involves kind of like getting to know you more, developing more closeness between the two of you, or maybe even expressing feelings that have been developing quietly within, expressing those out loud. We also have follow through. Yeah, so this is definitely somebody that intends to step closer towards you. They want more than what they've had with you so far. They want more than, they have sort of let you know up to this point in time. There could be a lot of really intense chemistry between the two of you. But again, if there were sort of like obstacles or third parties, people, places, and things that were in the mix, or even just something energetically, kind of the residue of people, places, and things that you or this person or both of you had needed to kind of like step away from or release from the past. This is somebody that, is honoring that period of closure, but also seeing you as the person that they want to move forward with, towards a better tomorrow, towards different experiences. This is somebody, it feels like, that has had experiences in the past where they didn't properly let the dust settle within like previous connections. They kind of just jumped very quickly, maybe from one relationship to another, came out a long-term connection and got right back into dating. And they learned in the past that that is something that didn't really serve their highest good. They might have ended up kind of like repeating cycles or missing out on crucial periods of time of healing, or even just kind of like being within their own energy, discovering themselves again, or kind of like figuring out what they wanted for themselves moving forward. This could be something that in the past, this is somebody that almost kind of like filled a void of loneliness within. They were very uncomfortable being within their own company. They like needed to have somebody with them. This person could have been a little codependent in the past. That could have been something that was a natural sort of like part of their personality in some way, or it could have been the product of like a toxic connection that they were in. And so kind of that feeling of vulnerability when they released themselves or were, discarded or released from a codependent connection, that could have made this person kind of just reach for the first person that they could find, kind of like enter into sort of like empty or meaningless sort of encounters with people just to sort of stave off some of that kind of grief or that loneliness within. And so it feels like this is something that if this person is kind of like coming out of a connection with another person, or even just sort of like closing out of a substantial chapter in their life and sort of moving forward, this is someone that gets the importance of a grieving period, a mourning period, even if it's like happy changes, moving towards better things. This is somebody who understands energy enough to know that there needs to be some kind of like closure, some sort of like settling within oneself in order to be able to, in a very sort of like mindful or lucid way, take steps forward very conscientiously without bringing kind of like baggage or attachments, energetic or otherwise, like unprocessed emotions from the past into like current circumstances or future potentials. If this is somebody that recognizes that you're in kind of a transitional period, like they recognize that in terms of things actually going on in your life, or they can just sense that about you energetically. This is somebody that is like consciously holding back at this particular point in time, not because they're uncertain, not because, they don't like you, not because they're, just like, well, I don't know, let me keep my options open. But there's something where they're almost kind of investing in the longer term future between the two of you by kind of holding off on that immediate gratification in the here and now, just to make sure that even if you think, yeah, I'm over the past, or, I'm ready for my fresh start, there's something where this person's own like previous experiences in life, or, even in kind of love that fell apart in the past, they understand the need of kind of just like being on one's own for a period of time, coming to a place of acclimating to the reality of what a new normal is for oneself. Again, whether that's like, changes that are kind of difficult or painful, or even stepping forth into happy changes. This is somebody that wants to kind of like honor that moment, honor that kind of transitional period where the past is released and the future kind of like comes into being, or one is able to kind of recognize or understand themselves through that sort of doorway of change. And so this is somebody that does want something more with you. They want more communication. They want to create more clarity. They want to express their feelings, but they feel at this particular point in time that kind of like holding off on that is that investment and kind of the best chance for success in terms of something long-term and meaningful with you. And we also have contradiction. Yeah, so again, this is the energy of like endings and beginnings. This is somebody that it's very difficult for them to hold back, because it feels like they are very attracted to you. They sense a lot of potential between the two of you. This is somebody who's very curious to explore what can develop between the two of you. They're definitely sort of like utilizing that energy of like consciously sort of holding themselves back or remaining very still at this moment. It's not like they're just trying to kind of like distract themselves with other things, or it's like out of sight, out of mind. They are consciously kind of like putting themselves into that energy of like yearning and desire. They are allowing that to kind of supercharge their intention when the moment is right, when, instinct or something that they are aware of, that they're observing, or they themselves are experiencing. If that energy of like third parties, people, places, and things is on their side of the equation, it's kind of like, okay, when that's all closed, when that's all behind me, when I've had chance to kind of, recognize who I am now on the other side of that period of change, the first thing I'm going to do is reach for you. The first thing that I'm going to do is take that big step towards you. The first thing that I'm going to do is to express myself in a way that I haven't done so far, with that kind of supercharged energy of desire and of longing. This is definitely somebody that is yearning for you in the silence at this particular point in time. They are thinking a lot about you. This is somebody who's consciously manifesting like a next experience with you. And you might be saying to yourself, well, I see this person often, or I talk to them somewhat regularly. They have my number, they know how to reach me. Like, why don't they just do something? Why don't they just say something? Why are they waiting? Again, this is somebody that has recognized through their own kind of like previous experiences the necessity and importance of kind of like honoring the passage of circumstances, people, places, and things, that they had been in alignment with in the past, in order to kind of grieve what they need to grieve, emotionally speaking, in order to allow sort of like energetic tethers between themselves and released situations to dissipate very naturally, to take the time to kind of acclimate to what a new normal means, so that they are not bringing kind of like the wounding, and the unprocessed emotional baggage from past situations, or like an embodiment of a version of themselves that occupied like a previous chapter of their own reality, into circumstances that represent fresh starts, new beginnings, next stages in life, whether that has to do with like life or love. So you are somebody that is top on this person's priority list when they get through this period of transition, or when they recognize or kind of like intuit or feel that something that you are in the process of releasing, stepping away from, or maybe even stepping into, in terms of like big exciting changes that you're creating for yourself. This is somebody that wants to give you that moment. Like, this is your moment, or it's their moment, to kind of just like sit in this place of like, okay, the past is gone. I'm standing here in the here and now, and the future is something that I am creating into a thing that is better for myself. And it is from that place of empowerment that this person sees the greatest potential between the two of you being able to be experienced, not with kind of like one foot in a situation with you and one foot kind of stuck in the past. This is not somebody that wants to be like with you in the present moment, and they're still looking in the rear view mirror, releasing things, or kind of maybe bringing wounding, or circumstances from yesterday into situations that they want to kind of take at face value with you. If this is something where they recognize you are in that period of transition or release, this is somebody that wants to honor that kind of closing of a door, to give you the opportunity to kind of take them in at face value, so that you have an opportunity to sort of lick your wounds, heal your wounds, or stand in the fullness of the version of yourself that you've been working very hard to become, so that you are able to receive them and not kind of like perceive that from any sort of energy of lack or emptiness, or woundedness, that may be the residue of whatever it is you've just sort of released or stepped away from, or needed to close out from, or if that's something on their side of the equation. This is somebody that believes in the power of now, but they also recognize the importance of garnering all of one's energetic kind of like reserves and forces up into the present moment, in order to be able to take big steps in important directions with kind of like the fullness of a very sort of present-based mindset. And so they see the potential between the two of you as like a big step forward, something that they are very excited to explore, something that it is very hard to hold back on the exploration of in this moment. But they do nevertheless see that as an investment in a greater potential for success between the two of you, a little little bit further down the road in the future. So, those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.